Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we are back to work on the Monarch 10EE lathe project, and today we're going to kind of pick up where we left off in the last video where we were working on getting the cross slide scraped in and back on the lathe as it needs to be. So let's kind of pick up where we left off in the last video, and we'll get this thing knocked out and move on to the next step in this project and get you to the finish line. I've got the cross slide mounted up here on the bench. I just put some blocks of wood up here to kind of capture it in place. Yeah, it'll slide in and out, but it'll kind of keep it from moving around while I'm working. And I got my power scraper, the biax, and we're gonna go ahead and put a crosshatch pattern on the bottom of this, and then we'll take it over to the surface plate and start scraping it in for flatness. Let's put a crosshatch on it. As I usually do, I start with just blind scraping this just to get a pattern on here. I find it easier to glue it up and see what's going on if there's a good scraping pattern on there, and just as a starting point. So we'll stone these and we'll take it over to the surface plate. It looks like there's a wear mark running right down this edge where this was right on the edge of where it wears, and this is probably going to be higher than over here. I'm guessing this is going to glue up. We're going to probably have to scrape that down to get down here because it was just wider than the matching piece up underneath it. That's my guess. Let's glue up over on the surface plate and we'll try it out. All right, I'll put some spot ink here on the surface plate. I'm just using a roller to get a thin layer spread out. And now we'll take our part and check it. All right, here we go. We'll put this on. I'm gonna start by hinging it, just seeing, it looks like it's hitting high over here. This side looks pretty good, just from the hinging. Let's see what it looks like. We'll very plainly see what's going on here. It's hitting on all four corners, but it's not touching in the middle at all. So we're high out here, low in the middle. So we're going to start scraping. I'm just going to hit the blue spots. Because we're not really touching anything in here, I'm going to do a double pass. So I'll go in one direction, hit all the blues, come back and hit the same area again, coming back the other direction, and take it back to the surface plate until we get good coverage from one end to the other. Now we'll come out the other direction on those same areas. All right, let's clean it up. Stone it to get the burrs off. Back over to the surface plate now to glue it up again. All right, just one pass. You can see I lowered those ends down and we're making much better coverage now. Now we got coverage coming about here to here, here to here. This one's really making light coverage almost all the way across. So just one pass, it wasn't much, just one pass on the scraper made a huge difference. I'm gonna just rinse and repeat here. I think now I'm just gonna hit the blue areas in one direction. We'll go back over there and just go back and forth until we get to coverage. You've seen me do this before. I'm not going to show the whole process, but I just kind of wanted to show you that was one pass with the scraper and what a difference it made. All right, let's get this scraped in. Well, I did one more pass in each direction and boom. I mean, this is not done yet, but I do have coverage from one end to the other. It was really close. This again, good sign, not a lot of wear in this. It came in very quickly. So now I'm going to change my cutter to a smaller cutter, smaller radius, which will give me a more narrow cut. I'm going to shorten my stroke length, and I'm just going to really just focus on these high spots and try to increase my coverage area, particularly on this back side. It's a little bit thin back there, but actually this front side I probably would be happy with. I want to get a few more points of contact back there. So we'll do a couple more passes, and I think we'll have this knocked out, doing some finish work here. And boom, just like that. I'm calling it good. I did one pass in each direction, just kind of spotting it in on a shorter stroke, smaller cut there. And I'm happy with that. We got good coverage from one end to the other, good spotting from one end to the other. I think what I'm going to do is get my flaker out. Now I'm going to flake this. Flaking is more for oil retention. We got it scraped flat. Now I want to do put some oil grooves in there with the flaker. And we'll have the bottom done. We'll still need to do the dovetails, but making short work out of this. Again, it wasn't in that bad shape, which is a good sign. All right, I've got my flaker out now, which it looks like a regular scraper, but it has a different cutter and a different action. Whereas the scraper is just going kind of in and out, this is kind of doing a wobbling motion at the same time, and it makes a half moon flake mark. It makes a totally different kind of cut. So I haven't used this in a while. Probably ought to practice, but I'm just going to go in here and do it and get those flake marks in there. You just kind of push on this and it makes that mark. A lot of people see flaking on machines and say, oh, that's been scraped. Whereas what happens a lot of times is that manufacturers will just grind the surface and then come back and flake that ground surface for oil retention and call it scraped. And it is, I guess, technically been scraped for oil retention, but it hasn't been scraped flat. And ideally you want to do both. And just kind of zooming in there, hopefully you can kind of see that little half moon mark. That's the flaking. And again, that's just for oil retention to break that surface up to make it skate across that mating part over there a little bit better. All right, this is done. I'm going to take it and put it back over there and see how it fits now. So I'm back over here, just looking at it, and main thing I'm checking right now is I'm just sliding it back and forth in there and making sure we're not making any contact up here on the top, and we're not. So there is clearance there. It's a very small amount of clearance, but there is clearance in there, and that's all we need. So I just want to check for clearance. This is some feeler stock. This is 1/1000 and a half. It fits 2 thou. Barely fits. It's 2.5. It fits. It's 3 thou. Okay, 3 thou. I mean, it's going, but that's tight. It's making contact. So not a whole lot of clearance in there. But there is clearance. I got 3 thou clearance on the back. So next thing I want to do is start checking this dovetail in here. First with the straight edge to make sure we got contact from one and the other, and then looking at it in comparison to this dovetail to make sure that we got good geometry connection as well. So it's got to be flat, but it's also got to be at the right angle or the correct angle. And so let's do some scraping and start on that. All right, I cleaned my ink up off of this. I think what I'm going to do, I don't really want to take this to the grinder or anything like that. I could, but it's just a lot of setup work and there's already clearance in there. So I'm just going to take a file and I'm just going to lightly hit this and just kind of, again, make sure there's not any burrs on there, and just try to maybe get down a little bit lower. You know, we're not talking about moving a lot of metal here, but this should give us theoretically some more clearance in there, just to be on the safe side. This is not a precision surface. This is not anything that has to be flat, scraped, or anything like that. We just need clearance in there. And this will make sure we got that. And really only need clearance into about here and here. This middle section, there's nothing making contact. There is a pin right here that I don't want to file down. That captures something there. But we're just going to hit that just ever so slightly. So once again, we're going to get down in here and work on a dovetail, and I'm going to do it by hand. I've just got this up on the bench, kind of blocked up. It's not clamped completely down, but I think this will be good enough to hold it in place while I scrape this in. So I'm going to get a marking. I'm going to go ahead and get it rough scraped one time, just blind scraped. We'll blue it up on the straight edge and then go for flatness. Once that's done, we can test it against the mating piece for geometry. We're always going for that crosshatch pattern. We're scraping across the previous scrape marks. That just makes sure that you don't ever dig a hole in one spot. Drop that in there. So I don't think you guys can see it real well. I've tried to get in here with the camera and it's just too dark to pick up, and the angle I can't get right, but I'm making contact from one end to the other. It's not a perfect scrape pattern by any means, but it's showing me that this is fairly flat. So instead of using the straight edge, since I know it's fairly flat, we're going to take it over and actually blue it up on the part, because that's where we got to get our match, and that's going to tell us more of the story. So I wanted to do this real quick just to make sure it was flat before we started going over there. But again, it goes to show this machine probably didn't see a whole lot of wear, because it's checking out pretty good just from the beginning here. Not perfect, but it's not bad. Now we blued up our mating part there. And we're just basically using the cross slide as a master now. It's kind of the same principle as the straight edge. This is what we're mating against, so this is what we want to check against. So we'll pull it out. We've got pretty good coverage here on the slides, which is good. And I'm going to take a look at this under a light, but yeah, that actually looks excellent. I'm going to probably do a little touch-up scraping on it, but yeah, again, there's not a lot of wear in this part, so this is just keeps on confirming that. That's a really good sign. All right, looking down in here, we got good blue from one end to the other. Again, not perfect, but not bad at all. So there's definitely making a little bit more contact on the bottom here than in the top. As you get into the center, it's making contact pretty much all the way to the back, and then it kind of lightens up on the other side. I'm going to take a couple of passes on this with the scraper and try to just hit the blue spots. I'll probably just go in one direction, go blue it up again, go in the other direction, and hopefully we'll be in a lot better place then. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and we'll show you the end result here in a minute. One pass in either way, and we're in. I think we're good. It's hard for me to get a real thin layer of ink up in that dovetail because I'm having to use a brush, so it's a little bit thicker than I like, but the important thing is we got coverage from one end to the other, and I feel good about where we're at. So I think we're going to call that one good. So now we got to work on the gib and check it out. So I've got the gib here. This is the side that's actually rubbing up against the ways. The other side over here is just up against the back of it's just sliding in there. There's no friction on this other than when you adjust the gib. This is the working side. So the first thing I want to do is see if my gib is flat, see if it's bent. Very often you will find these are bent where they're high in the middle or high on the ends. They got a little warp to them. So you can check that pretty easily on a surface plate by a process called hinging. And what you want to do is you want to just lay it on the plate. This plate's extremely flat. And when I move this, if it's flat, it's going to hinge about a third of the way in. And that's where it's hinging on this side. And we're going to do the same thing over here. And this one is hinging up closer to the top. So it's showing me that it is a little bit high on this end. But this is not bad. Usually what happens is this thing's just floating around in the center and just kind of banging on the sides, or it's just touching on the very ends. This one is not bad at all. So we're going to go ahead and start scraping it, and we'll check it on blue, and we'll keep on hinging it until we get it nice and flat and true. And then we'll go put it into the part over there and blue it up in comparison to the other side. So again, first thing is get it flat, and then we look for geometry measurements. So let me see if I got something I can put this down on to do my scraping, and we'll go from there. All right, I got a little magnet mag plate here. I'm just going to use that to suck it down with, and then I got that captured over here a little bit into my workbench. And I'm gonna do about half of it, and I'm gonna have to move it down. It's not long enough to do the whole thing. See this will work. Deburred, take it to the surface plate, blew it up, and see what kind of pattern we got. Not too bad after the first pass here. Again, we got contact from one end to the other. It's a little light in the middle, heavy on the top and bottom. So a couple more passes here, and I think we'll have this one knocked out as well. 2 passes with the scraper. Seems to be kind of how we're doing this. Rough and pass, and 1 or 2 passes with the scraper, and boom, we're there. So I'm happy with that. We're going to go test this gib in and see how she works. So I've got the gib. I'm going to go ahead and slide it up in here. And here's my screw, adjusting screw. There's one on the front and the back, and basically you tighten and loosen these up and just tighten that gib in there so there's a little bit of clearance where it'll slide, and as it wears you can adjust it and tighten it up more as needed. So let me go ahead and put this screw in the front. And you want to adjust it to where it'll move, but be fairly tight. I mean, not so tight it won't move, but you just make very small adjustments, and that's tightening that wedge up on there. So we still got a little bit of room in there. I'm going to back this one out just ever so slightly, and we'll run this one in. Just tighten it up ever so slightly. Now that's getting snug, but it moves very freely, which is what we want. It slides real nice. There's not any side to side play in there that I can feel. While I'm here, I want to see what we did to the, see, we were able to get a 2.5 thou shim in there before we kind of filed that. So now I can get a 3 thou in there. Let's try a 4 thousandths. 4 thousandths goes, but it's a little bit tight. So we did get a little bit of clearance in there by filing that a little bit. All right, a 5 thou won't go into that one. It will go into that one. It'll go in that one, but it's tight, and it's nice in that one. So we got roughly 5 thousandths clearance in there. I'm happy with that. I'll just tighten it up just a little bit more just to see what happens. Still feels good. There's not any oil in there right now. That's a little, I think that's just a little bit too tight. I'm just gonna barely back that off. We'll tighten this one on the back up just a little bit. That'll loosen that gib up ever so slightly. All right, I'm happy with that. Well, guys, I think we're going to call it a wrap for this episode. I didn't get quite as far along as I was hoping to today. Just all the little things that had to be done. What's up next on this? There's still enough to do. I think we need to just continue on another video. I need to check this for squareness to the machine. We're going to go over how to do that in an upcoming video. And then if necessary, do some scraping on the bottom of the ways here. I'm going to go ahead and blue these up as well and check it for contact. We'll probably go ahead and do a little bit of scraping on the bottom of the saddle. Now is the time to do it. It's tempting to kind of start there, but you really want to finish there because this is where you have to make some adjustments sometimes. And if you do all your scraping up front and then have to make adjustments, you're just going to have to do some of it for a second time. So we did check it out previously. There's not a whole lot of wear in there, so I'm hoping that, again, we can get to where we want to get to without too much trouble. Also, I think I want to take this whole cross slide block here over to the surface grinder, and I just want to kiss all these surfaces that are on the outside and just clean it up a little bit. They're all kind of just rough and from years of use. It's not in bad shape, but that'll hopefully kind of clean this thing up. I don't want to take a whole lot off of it, but I do want to just kind of clean it up and freshen it up a little bit. I think it'll just look a little bit nicer. And let's see, get that done. I think we'll be pretty much have this part rebuilt. We'll still need to rebuild the compound at some point. It's going to have to be scraped in, but for right now, I think that's all we're going to be doing on this. So we'll continue on with another video coming up soon. But for today, that's a wrap. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up, those comments, they really help out a lot. Thank you to guys that do that. Also, big, huge thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon, PayPal, and YouTube memberships. That really helps out a lot, enables me to take the time to shoot these videos, do all the work that goes into bringing them to you. So if you get value out of it, please consider kicking in a little bit in one of those platforms. It really does make a difference. And with that, guys, we're going to sign off. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, as always, thanks for watching.